Think you're gonna be okay? In the future, I mean, when we're not around?
I don't know, Tony. I wish I did.
Marvel's Avengers got an update with patch 1.3.3 a couple of days ago, which contained a lot of changes to the game, some new content, and a lot of bug fixes. Even though I stopped playing due to the poor state of the game, I did say I'd check out the game periodically as they added improvements, and so here we are. There's also some news about delays to upcoming content, so I'm going to talk about that too, but first, let's talk about the update. You can now move around outposts really well. Actually, you can run through outposts, which is great if you're a Hulk player, because on the helicarrier you get to be Bruce Banner, who now runs around like the Flash. Another good change is you no longer need to visit each outpost to pick up faction assignments. Instead, there's remote terminals now. You can go to the anthill and you can access the remote terminal to pick up a shield assignment. When you go to the helicarrier, the spot where Alessandra Morales used to be, that's the shield faction leader. She's gone now, but there's 2 remote terminals there, one for Inhumans and one for shield, so you can pick up all your assignments right in that one spot. Another good change is you can now preview cosmetic vendor skins, and you can also preview emotes, helping you to decide whether or not you want to buy them. And also good is they've added new content in the form of Tachyon Rift missions. If you haven't played those yet, you'll first need to unlock them. To do that, check your objectives and you'll see the Shield Substation 0 campaign mission chain. The first step in the chain is to go to the new Shield Substation 0 outpost. That's where the Shield faction leader has moved to. Once you go there, you'll talk with Maria Hill, who will tell you Tachyon storms are a thing, and she'll point you to the Shield faction leader. Morales will then tell you Tachyon storms are a thing, and she'll give you a new solo mission in the Utah Badlands called Tachyon Rift Breakout. Now by new, I mean it's the same as what you've done a million times before, except now it's a mission on a timer. Let the timer run out and you will fail the mission, but you can extend the timer by running through glowy, bubbly temporal anomaly things. You also take constant damage from the Tachyon storm during this mission, but your heroic skills charge faster to compensate. Now I was hoping this new mission would be bug-free, but alas, it was not anywhere near close to being bug-free. The first bug I encountered was when I had to pick my 3 AI companions, but the game decided to give me only 2 of the 3 I picked. I reset and tried again, but no, it was always going to substitute Kamala Khan for Thor, no matter how many times I picked Thor. So I couldn't have the team I wanted, which really sucked because Kamala is the only Avenger I haven't leveled up. Maybe she was a part of the story behind this and had to come as part of the mission, I don't really know, but it seemed like a bug to me. So anyway, in I went, but almost immediately something started to drive me insane. As I said, throughout the whole mission, the Tachyon Storm inflicts damage over time. If you have a piece of gear with a Jarvis barrier on it, that protects you from taking damage. And for the entire mission, you have to listen to it getting triggered by the damage of the Tachyon Storm. Over and over for the duration of the mission. So now the Jarvis barrier is annoying to look at and annoying to hear. Just listen. Yes, it was driving me crazy, and there was nothing I could do about it because not only was that piece of gear with the Jarvis barrier on it a part of my build and a really useful perk that I kind of rely on with this build, but I also had nothing in my inventory to replace it with anyway. I just had to put up with it for the duration of the mission. While trying to tune out one of the most annoying game sounds I've ever had to put up with, I was then bummed to see that not only did the update not fix frame rate issues, but it actually seems worse than ever, like practically unplayably worse. Well, not so much unplayably worse as you can play, but more like unwatchable worse. The frame rate issues just seem off the scale now compared to what was happening before the most recent patch. I mean, look at this. That's just plain bad no matter how you want to try to spin it. Maybe adding the rifts made it just too much for the PS4 Pro to handle, or maybe PS4's own recent update 8.0 contributed to this, since we know that had a big impact in a variety of ways across a lot of different games, including with lag spikes and stuff like that. Or maybe it's a combination of both, I don't really know. All I know that in this Tachyon Rift mission, the frame rate was atrocious. And the issues did not stop there. The last phase of the mission has you capturing terminals. Straight away the game bugged out by failing to display the interface to let me know about progress. I had to try to keep my eye on the mission icons while getting completely distracted by the bonking Jarvis barrier and trying to remember to run through anomalies to keep the mission going. But as time went on, it became pretty clear to me that the interface wasn't just not displaying progress, it was actually not making any progress at all. So I ended up having no choice but to reset the checkpoint. But for my own interest, I decided not to do that. Instead, I decided just to let the timer run out by not picking up any more anomalies because I wanted to see what would happen if I did that. And basically what happened was what I expected. It led to a mission fail. Fortunately, failing the mission didn't reset the whole thing to the very start like a heroic gauntlet fail might. And luckily, on the second time, the interface did show up so I could finally make progress and complete the mission. Or, well, in a way. After I captured Terminal A, I immediately noticed that no enemies were turning up. I guess the game was waiting for me to capture B or touch B and C, maybe to trigger the enemies, so out of interest I decided not to do any of that. I just stayed on A, and sure enough, no enemies turned up for the rest of the mission. And while having only 1 point made progress a bit slow, the entire mission ended without a single fight, with me sitting down enjoying the tune of my Jarvis barrier going off to the sound of tachyon rift damage. Interesting though, despite the mission fail midway through, it still said I had a 100% complete mission score, so I guess when the interface didn't show up and the game couldn't progress, it really didn't know what was happening. On the rewards side of things, Tachyon Rift missions now drop cosmic gear. So this was the first piece of gear I've ever had drop with cosmic on it, so that's something. Completing the breakout mission opens up another Tachyon Rift Mistaken Identity mission in the Scandinavian Highlands. Unlike the first breakout mission, which is a solo mission, this one is a multiplayer only mission. You must have 2 to 4 players to do it because the nature of the timer and the mission objectives means you cannot complete it as a solo player. If you have matchmaking disabled, you'll get a warning that you just can't do the mission. That doesn't mean you're locked out of getting cosmic gear as a solo though, because you can still repeat the breakout mission as many times as you like. Now I'm a solo player and I don't want to have to matchmake, but I'm okay with that for 2 reasons. The first is, Crystal Dynamics were up front when they released the game. They told everyone that most of Avengers can be played solo, but not all, so that's fine. They said that's the way it was going to be. Also, it has matchmaking, so anyone who really complains about it not being soloable should really just use matchmaking and deal with it. But even though I am a solo player, I still wanted to test this out. I matchmade into a game within 2 minutes, which, while not really great, isn't that bad either, especially considering my internet here isn't the best, and I'm also in a pretty far regional area in Australia, so I have to say it was pretty much okay, the matchmaking speed. What wasn't okay right from the start was there was no mission icon. All 4 players were standing around, none of us knew what to do or where to go, and in the end we just started picking up chests, hoping that something would change, and fortunately it did. 5 minutes later, the mission icon randomly appeared, and from there it was pretty much smooth sailing until mission completion. Now I was going to leave it there, except when all was said and done, there was no option to back out of the strike team. There was nothing on the screen to tell me that I could press this to disable matchmaking at this point. I went to the war table and I could pick any mission that I wanted, and it didn't inform me that I was being matchmade, so I assumed that I was out of the team, and the fact that it looked like I wasn't was just like an end of mission screen like every other. So I went away, I made lunch and came back about, 5 to 10 minutes later, and a new mission was starting. A new Tachyon Rift was starting with the same team. So I don't know what they'd been doing the whole time, but apparently everyone had been waiting for about 5 to 10 minutes for the start of the next mission. So anyway, in my case, I wasn't going to back out. I wasn't going to ruin their game, just in case they had been waiting for me and I didn't know it. So I ran the mission again. All seemed to go really well until the end, when we reached 100% progress on the final stage. With about 20 seconds still on the clock, we completed the mission, the ship took off, there was the sound of success, and then bam, we just get mission failed. There was a long load screen, we'll put back into the menu, also with no option to back out of the strike team, and then suddenly another mission fail alert. So that was obviously a major bug. I watched that over and over again. The completion rate of progress was ticking up faster than the clock was ticking down. We did get close to running out of time. It got down to 8 seconds, but we're at 99, I think 6 or 8 seconds. We're at 99% at the progress at the time, and I had just picked up extra anomalies to take that to 20 seconds. So we had plenty of time left. We had plenty of progress. We did complete the mission, but for some reason, the game decided, no, you didn't. So I don't know what happened there, but in any case, that's 2 match-made games into the Tachyon Rift, and there were 2 game-breaking bugs in both of them. Fortunately, the first one righted itself after 5 minutes, but playing a whole match through with 3 match-made people who waited 5 to 10 minutes to play that, and then all the time to play it, only to be hit with a mission fail after we clearly succeeded in the mission, it doesn't really inspire you to do it again. And with that said, that brings me back to the solo experience of Marvel's Avengers. One of the things Crystal Dynamics did when they launched Tachyon Rifts was they decided to remove the weekly priority mission, which was something that could be played solo. I do not understand that decision at all. The game is already short of content. I mean, you introduce a multiplayer mode and you remove a single player mode to do so. The reasoning was they wanted more focus on the Tachyon Rifts and they thought removing the priority missions would help them achieve that, but that makes no sense. All you did was further reduce what is available in the weekly rotation for all players, especially for solo players, and given that Tachyon Rifts is just one single mission type that isn't really much different from a standard mission anyway apart from the timer and the ongoing damage, I don't know, it just seems like a bad decision to remove content at all at this point. I mean, are they going to constantly remove content every time they add new content? I would hope not, but they have set the precedent, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. Another change Crystal Dynamics announced was that heroic gauntlets now drop better gear. The way it's meant to work is the further you progress through the hive, which is heroic gauntlets missions 1 to 8, the higher the drop rates of gear will be and the better that gear that drops will be. This basically is meant to inspire you to do the whole 2-hour ordeal of heroic gauntlets with the idea that the longer you stay doing it, the better the gear is you will get. So I wanted to test this out. I didn't really want to do all 40 floors of the gauntlet because it takes forever. And last time I tried it, the game bugged out and I couldn't finish after floor 35. But they also extended the pickup radius of drops and apparently tweaked AI companions so that they help you complete tasks more. So to check out everything that they claimed they have changed for the heroic gauntlet, I thought, what the hell, let's do it again. But this time I decided I'm doing it on Challenge 1. I want it on the easiest mode because I don't want it to be a tedious ordeal as much as it would be on a higher difficulty, and I wanted it to go faster. The first thing I noticed was the pickup radius definitely was better, to the point that I stopped noticing pickups being an issue at all. I was just picking up everything I ran past, so that was good. Next, I noticed the AI was still completely failing to help with objectives. I did notice the AI characters would join me fighting whatever enemy I was attacking way more often than I can remember them doing before, so that was definitely a tweak. But that's about it. I couldn't see any noticeable improvement in how the AI helped me, or didn't help me as it were, with objective-based tasks. For objectives, they were still pretty much completely useless, and yeah, you're on your own there. Regarding the claim of improved drops, I cleared out my inventory before going into each heroic gauntlet. I took close notice of every drop I got through all the gauntlets. One thing became very clear very quickly, and that is, contrary to what was announced with the patch, there was absolutely no improvement in gear drops the further I progressed into the hive. None at all. In fact, some of the later rewards were even worse, with more blues than I was getting at the start. I mean, it's just random, of course, but one thing I did notice was that the further I went in, the more I realized I was only getting one legendary drop from a random enemy every individual gauntlet run. And that was right from the start, so it didn't matter whether it was Heroic Gauntlet 1 or Heroic Gauntlet 8, I was getting one legendary drop through that run. And that's on Challenge 1 difficulty, of course, but there's zero reason to suspect that a similar standard drop rate hasn't been set for the other difficulties either. So I'm going to say that is an awful drop rate for a task you're going to spend hours at. Especially if you're chasing legendaries, there's way better ways to get them, even on Challenge 1 difficulty. I mean, you can get more legendaries than that just by farming chests. The volume of resources obtained were also pretty poor compared to farming chests, and yeah, they didn't increase over time either. However, 2 exotics definitely did drop at the end, just as Crystal Dynamics said they would, and both were 5-star, which was pretty good considering I'm on Challenge 1. Although you could argue it's pretty bad too, since these exotics still suffer from the same problem as all gear in the game, and that's the problem of getting good perks. You can only run Heroic Gauntlet once per week, and you're only going to get 2 exotics from it. After 2 hours of your life, you want to guarantee that you're going to get exotics with some decent perks on it, and these didn't have it. So yeah, and the other thing is, every gauntlet is just a random piecing together of the exact same jigsaw puzzle pieces, but the jigsaw itself stays the same. It's like running Groundhog Day with a couple of carrots at the end, only the chances are the carrots will actually be inedible when you get them. It's not really inspiring at all. Honestly, even if they increase the rewards, I don't think I'll ever do the Heroic Gauntlet again, not even to test it. I don't think I can. It's just mind-numbingly tedious. There simply needs to be many other methods of getting exotics in the game other than Heroic Gauntlet. Crystal Dynamics have actually said that they're going to have exotics dropping from AIM Cloning Labs, which is a mission they're going to add to the game in the future. So they're definitely planning on expanding the number of missions that you can get exotics from. But that alone, I just don't think that's enough. I don't think there needs to be 1 or 2 missions that drop exotics. I really think they need to expand it across all missions and increase the rate at which they can drop. The problem with the perks is still an issue, but it will minimize that issue to some degree if you have a greater chance at getting them more frequently. Still, I will agree, expanding the number of missions you can get them in is a step in the right direction, and any step in the right direction is a good step. And there are some steps happening in the right direction that are good steps. Even though I encountered a bunch of bugs in the new content, I was able to finish the entire 8-mission Heroic Gauntlet chain flawlessly. That's something I couldn't do last time I tried, and I posted a video about that. As I play tested all day today, Hulk did not freeze on me once, and after many hours of testing, that's definitely a fix. He was freezing on me constantly before. I also tested Iron Man for a few hours, flying around constantly. Periodically, he would crash my PS4 entire system before, but now that does not happen. So these bug fixes are all in line with Crystal Dynamics' State of Play announcement, where they confirmed that they've corrected several systemic issues that were creating game crashes and freezes, and that does seem to be the case. There are a lot of bugs that have been fixed, especially that were affecting me. I can't speak for other bugs that have been affecting other people, but just from reading around a bit, I am seeing a lot of people pretty happy with certain bugs that were causing them problems now having gone. There are, of course, plenty more bugs there and some new bugs with the new content, but all I can say is they have been addressing bugs and they've been posting about that, and they're doing it as quickly as they can. So, probably enough complaining there for now. Another positive step, though some of you might completely disagree with that statement here, is that Crystal Dynamics have announced a delay on future content. The release of new hero Kate Bishop is now pushed out beyond October. I don't know what that means, if that means that they're going to release that character in November, or the content that comes with that character in November, or even later than that. I don't know. No release date's been given at this stage. All they said for why they're doing that is that they want to deliver a fun experience as a priority, and for that reason they need to hold the content to higher standards, and it needs extensive internal testing for that. But you can read between the lines that they need to fix a bunch of bugs and try to make this a much more of a quality experience, because the second paragraph in their State of Play reads like this: Marvel's Avengers launch was not without turbulence, and we recognise that a number of issues detracted from your enjoyment of the game. This does not align with Crystal Dynamics' value of craftsmanship, and for that we sincerely apologise. And it goes on to say that over the past few weeks, their team has been heads down fixing bugs and tuning key gameplay systems, and that they're trying to release rapid updates to address those bugs. They're trying to improve game stability. They've been refining the matchmaking system, and that they're basically putting in a lot of effort to improve the overall experience. And that is obviously the entire reason why Kate Bishop's content has been delayed. And while the game is starving for a variety of content, and while Kate Bishop was meant to be out already, I'd say most players would agree it's important to get the game running well before focusing on new content. And when new content finally does drop, it's going to be better for it to be as bug-free as possible, given everything that's happened so far. I personally said I'm done with Avengers until things improve, and that's still the case for me after testing the game out today with patch version 1.3.3. But the game's combat loop is still fun as hell. I really enjoy it, and I actively want this game to get good so I can play more of it. I know I'm not alone there with that thought, and there's plenty of other people that are taking a break from the game but are happy to come back each time there's an update to see what's fixed and what's new, in my case, in that specific order. But the game just isn't there yet, so I'm not. I'm done with it until some of these fixes come through. I'm happy to wait, basically. Alright, that's enough about Avengers. For now, I'll put links to the latest patch and the latest State of Play announcements in the description of the video. You can click on those and go have a read about some more bug fixes and content information that I haven't covered here. Like the video if you thought it was helpful or interesting, and maybe drop a comment if you think you can be helpful too. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Bye for now.